So we going in on black businesses at Target, and we going in on them vehemently. I mean, we telling Tabitha Brown that she's being selfish and she's rich enough because we boycott Target, whether her stuff is there or not. Even though she's encouraging those who do buy black to still purchase black-owned products at Target. We going in. We don't want to hear that. We gonna tell folks how we feel, and we saying it loud. And we saying it loud on Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook and Instagram, and on Elon Musk's Twitter. Are we really serious? Are we really about this life? Or are we just good with picking the low-hanging fruit? Okay, I know. That is absolutely no way to start off the show, right? Okay, I'll start over. And I'll be right back. And I'm bliggity black, y'all. I'm black all February, baby, 24/7, 365. But in February, I'm bliggity black. What up? Hello, and welcome to In Your Ear Radio. I am your host, Latoya. So very happy to be with you on this fine Saturday. The weather's pretty nice. They say it's going to be pretty good, almost peaking in the 80s during the week, close to the weekend. But today I think it's like in the 60s still. I think it's still in the 60s. I haven't been outside yet. Y'all can tell because I'm light, huh? I need to get some more sun. I know this. I know I need more melanin. Anyways, thank you all for joining me live. I so appreciate that. When you guys come in live, shout out to you know who's first in the chat. GB, my number one. Always pulling up on time, first. I ain't got your prize yet, but you know I love you, bro. But yeah, so yeah, we bliggity black, you know, shout out to Black History Month. You know, they're trying to take that away, and they can't take it away, but you know, they're trying to mess with folks. You know what I'm saying? They're just trying to mess with folks. So it is what it is. And we're gonna get into it, y'all. We're gonna get into it because we got a lot to talk about, but you know, it's just it could be overwhelming, okay? It could be overwhelming. That's right, it's black out, it's black, y'all, it's black. Shout out to Africa. Thank you for hanging out with your girl live. I appreciate you on YouTube. I was trying to see y'all. I got 4 eyes and still can't see. What is the problem? What's going on here? Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm very excited about it. But I know this: January has been one tough year, right? It's been a tough year, January, but we made it. It's February 1st. Happy first day of Black History Month. Hooty hoo. Maybe we should get some applause or something going on in here. Okay, yeah. That's what's up. And my condolences to all of those who did not make it. We appreciate you. We know that now that you're an ancestor, you will be looking over us and saving a spot for us. Anyways, so yeah, we made it, y'all. But let me tell you, I'm feeling like Chris Tucker out here. You remember in the movie Rush Hour when all them Asians started kicking his ass? You know, just everything just coming at him. We couldn't fight him off. He like, y'all, which one of y'all hit me? That's how I feel because I mean, we getting hit. We can't even catch a break. We can't even come up for air. I'm just saying, we getting hit. So I'm like Chris Tucker on Rush Hour. I'm like, which one of y'all hit me? But it's all good though. I'm still gonna find some levity in all of this BS because it's really, really some BS, y'all. But yeah, that's what I'm feeling like. If y'all ask, that's what I'm gonna tell you. Anyways, you know, we got to talk about this boycott. I heard it's lit on the first. We boycotting Target. That's what I just heard this morning. You know, got the news a little late. Kind of, you know, people were saying what they were saying, like they were just going to stop whenever somebody said that they, ejected from the DEI programs and diversity, equity, and inclusion, being racist. We say we're not messing with them, but it's official according to some of the notable people considered leaders here in the United States. We're not shopping at Target. So how many of you guys are not shopping at Target? And if you are you shopping? Are you just buying black, or what you doing? What you doing? Anyways, I wanted to get into this conversation. I titled the show "Whose Ice Water is Colder?" Because there's a saying that goes around that says that the black people think that the white man's ice water is colder, and that term, I guess, comes from the fact that cold water is just better. I don't know. I couldn't remember who coined that term and what made it so significant, because I know a lot of us do like room temperature water. I mean, I'm into cold water nowadays. I like ice cold water, but just basically, it's just a way of saying that we think that whatever the white man got is better for us, is better than what we can provide for ourselves. Funny thing is, and before I get into that conversation, let me go ahead and share my my video, my live with my group, which I forgot to do, and I have done that now. When we think about, the white man's ice being colder, the reality of it is the only thing that makes ice water colder is adding a few tablespoons of salt to it. And we all can have colder ice water. That's just how simple it is. So you add a few tablespoons to your water, and guess what? Yours will be even colder if you're comparing it to, others. Just so you know, and then knowing that, basically, I say all of that to say this: why can't we just use the same resources to build our own empire? We can use those resources, and we don't have to go use their stuff, because we can add a couple of tablespoons to the ice water, and it'll be colder too. We don't have to go over and ask them for shiznai. You know what I'm saying? Why don't we do that? Why don't we? And Africa's saying that she was buying black at Target, but she decided to boycott altogether. Yeah. So I'm in a chat, and everybody, I think I'm the outcast, because at first soon as, like I said, as soon as I hear people pulling out of DEI, I'm like, okay, I got to pivot. I got to figure out where I'm gonna go get certain things from, because if you don't support me and my people, then I'm not supporting you. I have the privilege, I have the advantage, I have the luxury of being able to shop elsewhere, and the convenience. It's not hurting me. In some cases, I do understand some people can't necessarily boycott certain businesses because they really, look to them, things, like Amazon having stuff delivered to your door, to differently able, people who don't have the transportation. There's different reasons why people wouldn't necessarily boycott certain places, but I was good. Like I said, I only necessarily went there for a few things. It's very convenient around the corner. Excuse me, definitely something I, enjoy going to Target, because, it was like a one-stop shop, even having groceries in the store as well. But, some of my favorite products I can order online, and they're black owned. So I wasn't really tripping. But when I listened to Tabitha's clip, which I'll play as well, so I can get your perspective, not the whole thing, but I'll play some of it so you can get a perspective. It kind of made me think twice about it. And I said, you know what? Maybe if I choose to go, maybe I'll just buy black products from there. But my people wasn't hearing it. They was like, nah, I'm good. She need to pull her product. She need to set it up online, sell them somewhere else, and just saying what they saying. And I'm saying you don't really know all the facts, because I am kind of a softie. Like, I try to lean towards trying to help my people and hearing their side. And I'm kind of soft, but I also listen to reason. So listening to her explanation kind of gave me a perspective. And I was like, you know what? And that's how I felt. So, the jury's still out. Okay. I'm still talking about it. We still rationing it out and trying to figure out what we're going to do. But like I said, when it comes to resources, we can put our stuff together and have the same, if not more, if not better. And so why don't we do that? Why don't we add a couple of tablespoons to our ice water, and it will be colder? And again, we ain't got to go over there trying to get their stuff, right? We ain't got to even compete or ask them for anything or be rejected. Considering the fact that our spending power, the black spending power is reaching 1.7 trillion. That's black dollars. And the thing about it is, all that money that we're circulating to this United States of America, only that dollar only circulates 6 hours in our community. So we in and out. We in and out like a robbery. I'd rather be a no, I ain't gonna say that song. But anyway, oh, shout out to Tupac. Anyway, rest in heaven. But so we don't spend a lot of time in our communities, investing in our communities, compared to the Jewish community, where their dollar circulates for 20 days before it leaves a community, and even in the Asian community, it's 30 days it circulates before it leaves a community. So it's really something to think about. Like, why aren't we maintaining and sustaining, keeping that dollar within our community longer? Why are we running as soon as we get money and going to give it to other, communities? And then we look around and we point the finger at people because they don't want to respect us. Well, they don't have to, and we don't have to respect them. And we got 1.7 trillion spending dollars and spending power. So, we can do us, boo. We really can. So the question is, why don't we do that? What is holding us back? And I think that's the most important thing. And I have my perspective on it. And yeah, I do want to, elaborate more on it. So much to talk about though, y'all. But the one thing about it is, even in Black communities with our Black businesses, we don't have, competitively in comparison to the white community, we don't have as many. We've got maybe 2.4% of employer firms that are owned by Black businesses, compared to white Americans, who, shoot, their percentage is 86%. So we're a smaller community, but technically, according to the census, and not all of us fill out, we're only less than maybe 13% of the population. So that's just based on those numbers. But 96% of Black businesses are sole proprietorships. So, that means it's probably just one person running that business. They may be able to hire a person here and there part-time, might not be able to provide health insurance. And it's kind of hard to run a business as a one-man show, or if you got to bring other people in and pay them, especially when you're not getting, the traction you need in order to maintain a business. Running businesses is not that easy. Some people make it look easy, but according to USS Today, there has been an increase of nearly 21,000 in the amount of Black-owned businesses in America since 2020, when there were 140,000 plus open for business. Although, again, it's noted that was 2.4% of the U.S. population is made up of African Americans. Only 2.4% of all employer firms owners are Black-owned businesses, which is relatively small in comparison to some of their counterparts. And again, it's the white community who makes up more than 59% of the population here in the United States, with 86 of the businesses across the nation. So, it's understandable that they're going to hold more weight. Their purse is going to be a little bigger. We're going to see more white businesses having more accessibility to white-owned businesses, because there's more of them. And if more people are patronizing those businesses, then they're probably purchasing things at lower prices, which they can, pass on to the consumer. And there's just more convenience involved. And, and they can hire more people, and they have more control over who they can hire too. So, that's a perspective that we have to consider as well. But we do need to reinvest our money back into Black communities and banks. There's one United Bank, is one Black-owned bank. When you compare other ethnicities, businesses like banks, Asian community, the Jewish community, I mean, we're dropping crumbs into our banks. And keep in mind, banks hold our money. They say, let me hold something. And then they go ahead and invest that money however they invest it, and make it available to us in the form of a resource by offering us loans, and then turning around and charging us interest and things of that nature. But we know there's a lot of discrimination. So even when we're trying to, progress and build businesses and establish ourselves, purchase homes, and create generational wealth, it's a struggle when people are discriminating against us, when they're causing us to have higher interest rates, which, that hits us in the purses. Even if they qualify us for these loans, we're not able to save because we're spending a whole lot of money on interest, right? Or sometimes we're just being rejected, so we're not able to even get a piece of the pie, the American pie. And so, investing in our own banks gives them a cushion to be able to, have more businesses, more banks spread out throughout the country, be competitive and offer lower interest rates, and offer other business incentives, for small business loans and housing purchases and things of that nature. So, we have to pour into ourselves if we want to be filled. If we want to be full, we have to pour into our own cups. So, and another thing is, we get money, a lot of us, and we go out and we spend it. Like I said, we only keep that money in our own communities for hours, 6 hours, where others is days, it's almost a whole month in some instances in some communities. And so with us, we hurry up and go run and get that money because we need people to know that we can afford certain things like Louis Vuitton and Gucci and, BMWs and blah, 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 even though we really can't, because sometimes we're cash poor. We're paying high interest rates. We have high car payments. And, a lot of people don't think about what comes with luxury costs. That's why I'm not never going to be envious of somebody with a huge home, because I know they got a huge power bill. They got a huge water bill. And do I want to pay that? And can I afford to pay that? So why would I be envious of not having the money to pay a $3,000 water bill each month? Because you got to put things into perspective. But, some people just want people to see, because it's really what it is. When you're walking around with labels, some of the stuff is nice and it's quality. And, sometimes you are paying for what you spend, you get, based on the quality. But most of the time, we're just paying for labels. People can tag something on anything. And we allow these people that don't look like us to charge us these wild costs for their products, so we can walk around and give them free advertisement. We ain't getting this stuff for free. Barely anybody, maybe some famous people are getting free products, but still that's driving people, middle class, maybe even poor people, to go out and buy these things, because we want people to see us in a way, because society teaches us that if you're not successful unless you have money, right? You're not successful unless you're rich. And then you need oligarchs, the Elon Musk world and the y'all's president world, they look at it like you're not smart unless you have money, even though they dumb as a bag of rocks. You know what I'm saying? They just pretty much just bamboozle, hoodwink, and ran amok and led a lot of people astray. And they messing around and they finding out. Shout out to GB who has a comment. Let me go ahead and read that. He says, no, I don't know all the facts, what it is, just from overhearing the conversations talking about Tabitha Brown. He says the woman has established an online filing, and she has used her platform to share encouragement. Right. So that's what made me feel soft about it. Like, she's a good woman. She hasn't done anything negatively. She's pouring into the community. I listen to her. She's very inspiring. She says a lot of positive things. She's vegan and she shows delicious ways to eat healthy. And she's very candid. So she was pulling at my heartstrings when she was talking about, her situation. He went on to add that now she sells products to a store that people want to boycott. But if she fed you spirituality, don't you think she's feeding others, her family, her employees financially through her revenue? That's another thing to think about, right? Because it ain't just her. People just, oh, you rich now, you wearing Gucci, you this, you that. You know what I'm saying? But isn't that what we all want, to be able to be financially stable? I can't say that I ever dreamed to be like rich per se, but always to be able to maintain whatever, to be able to help my family when they need, and be able to, have the things that I want and need in life. But never, I didn't have, my dreams not as big as some people are. It's nothing wrong with it. But she's in a position now where she has employees. She's able to, give other people jobs. So if we're not contributing to her, buying her products, which she obviously just can't pull out of Target. I know we think it's just that simple, but when you have contracts, you better talk to these people with these 360s in the rap community. You can't just pull out of stuff. Some things you got to do that you might not even read the fine print to understand what you're doing and what you're really into. So we don't really know her business like that. But if she's speaking out on it, it's because she knows that it's a little bit more difficult than we can understand and how it's going to hurt people. So yeah, it might make her a little less richer, but it's also going to cause her to have to lay some people off because she can't afford to pay them. So if our overall goal is to hurt Target, are we really just hurting Target? And yeah, shout out to Joe Madison, who I definitely want to highlight. The difference between a moment and a movement is sacrifice, right? So sometimes we do have to make sacrifices, but are we going to cut off our nose to spite our face? We just need to make it make sense. Because like I said, we going in on this lady. Everybody's speaking up saying, yeah, my products, I heard some business owner say, yeah, I have over 1,000. I have products in over 1,000 stores. Wasn't specific, so I'm assuming maybe not Target, because I would imagine that person would have mentioned it. But this business owner, Black woman, went on to add that, if you see my products in a store that does not support diversity, equity, and inclusion, or they're basically racist, then don't buy it. And it's like, okay, we got you. Okay, you gave us your marching orders. Tabitha gave us her marching orders. And why are we doing this? Like, do we haven't read the fine print. We don't really know what the deal is. And yeah, I don't think we should punish Black businesses either. But yeah, I think, yeah, let's keep this boycott, the same boycott energy with Black Friday. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. People be talking broke. People don't want to vote. It's lesser two evils. They both the same. The price of eggs, the price of gas. But y'all, whoa, the spending for Black Friday was woo. Y'all can't tell me y'all ain't got no money. And also even with the educational systems, just in general, I'm just going to high level talk about these executive orders. We knew this was coming. We talked about Project 2025. I had dumb people telling me, oh, y'all's president, y'all new president for the second time, was telling people he didn't know nothing about Project 2025 and he had a Project 2027. Funny enough, a lot of the people, he even created positions for these people that drafted up this Project 2025. He created positions for them if they didn't already exist. Part of the Heritage Foundation, people, these right wing strategists, Southern strategists, and just racists. He created positions for them and went straight at it. Didn't miss a beat. Came right out the gate with all of the things on their Project 2025 agenda. But remember, he told people. I heard him say it. He didn't know nothing about it. Now, I knew that was a lie. And I think people just want to believe what they want to believe, or they use that as an excuse. So since he said it, even though he's a known liar, he's a criminal. Like, I'm going to try not to be all over the place today, because last Saturday I was just on one and I didn't stick to my script. I just stuck to what I was thinking at the moment. But, it's like, I don't understand it. But we have enough money. I just talked about the trillions, 1.7 trillion. We have enough money where we can create schools. If our kids are going to be part of this public system, it ain't that easy to just pull our kids out of a public system. A lot of us are working 2-parent homes or 1-parent household. We don't have the time. We can't homeschool our kids. Maybe we don't have the education or the resources to be able to homeschool our kids. But if we're going to put them in that public arena, okay, fine. So they can see both sides of the coin. So you put them in that public education system so they can see what these people, all of the divisionist history that they're giving them, revisionist history that they're giving them, and they can learn about how these people lied to them about Christopher Columbus and just, Abraham Lincoln. And then on the weekend, they have to have mandatory classes for Black studies, where they can learn the truth, not just about themselves, but about the world and about the United States. And so that they can be objective and have critical thinking. So when they go back into these public classrooms, who are being led by people who want to see us oppressed, who look at us a certain way for the most part. I mean, I had a gentleman on a couple of weeks ago who was talking about how, Black teachers are a low representation here in the United States, especially Black men. And we need Black male teachers as well as Black women teachers in these classrooms, teaching our children how to think critically, to know the difference between a lie and the truth, and to be able to recognize it. So when these people are trying to feed our kids this BS, because as long as they have control over what do they say? It's something about whoever tells the story, owns it. Something about the lion or something. I don't know. I'll get back to it. But anyways, you own the truth if you're the one that's over telling the story at the end of the day. And so, I'm just saying, whose ice water is really colder. We can make ours colder. We add a couple of teaspoons to that ice water that we have, and it freezes just as much as anybody else's does, and it don't cost us much but time and us getting together as a community and sticking with each other, despite how we feel about each other, despite our religions, despite how, whatever our personal convictions are. The overall goal should always be to maintain and not to have to ask other people to respect us. You know what I'm saying? We're going to demand that. And and the question is, what are we willing to sacrifice to show and prove that we are self-sustainable? Are we willing to sacrifice our time? We're going to have to in some cases. Are we willing to sacrifice our money? We're going to have to in some cases. We're going to have to sacrifice our convenience and our comfort. When I think about the things, I'm going to have to switch up. Like I said, we talking real loud, rah, 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 but we're still on social media platforms created by people who help to steal the votes, who do not see us or respect us, and do not think that we deserve diversity, equity, and inclusion. They just want their God is money and power, and that's by any means necessary. And so they've taken away even the stops when it comes to censorship. They monitor what we can say. They monitor how what we present, what we see. They monitor our algorithms. I mean, I was talking last week about the hashtags, how they took away Democrat for a minute, just playing with us, right? But before they even did that and brought it back, the certain hashtags. So some things, if you hashtag, that's how you go to a platform that's discussing something in particular that you're looking for. So if I'm looking up hashtag spaghetti, if I go to that hashtag, I'm gonna get recipes, I'm gonna get different, pictures or whatever, anything in association with spaghetti. And so a lot of these hashtags were being removed, and they're saying nothing was linked to it. Are you kidding me? How did that happen? How did Democrat just go away? But like I said, they brought it back. But before they did that, before this man became president, there was a tweet that Elon Musk made on his Twitter saying we need to stop using hashtags. We don't need them anymore. So that lets you know they're behind the scenes controlling stuff and playing in our faces, but we're still on their platforms telling Black people that they just need to take their products out of stores. And so I'm just saying, I understand people's convictions, but at the same time, are we really serious? Are we really organized? Do we really know what we're doing? Or we just go for the low hanging fruit and find somebody to pick at, because everybody needs somebody to look down on, right? Some of us. I choose not to look at things that way. Shout out to Africa, who's adding to the conversation. She said she agreed with Tabitha, and that's why she was torn. Yeah, me too. She said, however, issue is larger than her. While we sacrifice, she may have to as well. We have to unify, and individualism is also a catalyst to division and separation. Yeah. She said YouTube won't let her comment. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, somebody is able to comment, so that's good. I'm glad we're able to get those comments. I wonder, is that something that's happening with each show? Are the comments just not showing? But I appreciate you letting me know that. I'll have to look into that after the show. Let me go ahead and sip my tea before I get into this. I'll be feeling like Wendy Williams. I don't know why when I start sipping my tea. Remember when she used to have her show and she would sip her tea? Shout out to Shanta Jackson, who's watching on YouTube. She says she's okay with inconveniencing yourself. And I know from her, she also mentioned the fact that, it's a personal choice. People have to decide what was meaningful to them to boycott, right? So I know that she just got off a lot of platforms, the ones that we've been talking about, and, backed up from Amazon and other things, which was, I don't know how much, if it was a difficult choice for her. For me, for example, when they kicked Kaepernick to the curb, it was nothing for me to boycott football, but it wasn't an inconvenience because I don't watch football. But it's easy for me not to give Nielsen any airtime. You know what I'm saying? So that's easy. That was easy for me to do. Now, some other things that I really indulge in and engage in, it may have been more difficult, and it would have been, in fact, a sacrifice. So some of the things that we're walking away from are easy, right? And some take a lot of thought and planning, and it's nothing wrong with that. Because back in the day, because a lot of us like to compare boycotts to the Montgomery bus boycott, I'm going to talk about that, and just, what we did back in the day. But the thing that people forget is those were strategic. Rosa Parks had gone through extensive training on how to deal with people that were going to be spitting in her face, hosing her down, calling her out her name, pushing and shoving her, arresting her. They had bail funds set up. They had trained these people. It was like military. How when you go in the military and they train you for combat, the activists back in the day, they didn't just send their people out, young men and women, because a lot of these people, our children at that time, were in their 20s, youngsters going out there protesting, as it always is. It's usually the young generation, high energy, high testosterone levels, they ready, you know what I'm saying? But it was strategic. She didn't just, a lot of people like to think that Rosa Parks just got on the bus and her feet was tired that day. They had already planned that. As a matter of fact, she wasn't the first person that they were choosing to spearhead the boycott. It was a young unwed mother who was pregnant, but they decided that, people might not have a level of sympathy and empathy for a young unwed mother being pregnant, and decided that Miss Rosa Parks would be that person, being a married woman, a seamstress, and her husband was a barber. And so that's who they chose. But the day was hers. She picked that day because, yeah, she was sick of that shit. And basically, what sparked her, like she, likes to tell people, that it was never about her feet being tired. To be clear, she had enough when Emmett Till, the way they had did Emmett Till, the way they had killed that young man. I think he was 13 or 14 years old. Once that happened, all bets were off, and that was her day. But again, she had been trained, and they had bail money set up for her, so she knew what she was getting into. She knew how to respond to this. She knew what to expect. In this day and time, in this new millennium, we don't have any marching orders. There are groups and organizations, and I know in some of these organizations they do set aside bail funds for people who are protesting. But us boycotting and us protesting, who do we lean on? What is this strategy? What do we do when somebody comes with us and call us out our name? What are we being trained? How are we being trained to respond? Or we just willy-nilly, we just all over the place with it. Like, and again, even the Montgomery boycott, it was in one city. It was not the whole country. Everybody didn't stop marching. Everybody didn't stop riding the bus. This was particular to one city. And I'm not downplaying, I'm just putting it into perspective, because we like to romanticize things and say, well, we did it then, we could do it now. We can do it now, but we have to understand what tools and resources we're up against. We have social media. They did all of this without that, and quiet is kept. They don't really like the fact. People that come from that era don't understand how people be on Elon Musk and Zuckerberg's Twitters and platforms talking about what we doing. We talk about this at home, the dinner table amongst ourselves, not in public. So, I want to get into this Black history, but let me go ahead and get this comment from Shanta Jackson, who's adding to the conversation. She says, as a business owner, you have to adjust with the market. Economics 101, it's about supply and demand. Business comes and goes, including large corporations. True. Kmart went away, right? Woolworths went away. I want to talk about them too, because there was also a boycott there. These men who were trained, they didn't just go sit at that table, that day willy-nilly, knowing that they were going to be refused a meal. They had prepared for that. They had been trained and taught how to go in and how to respond, even how to dress. They even had to dress a certain way. They wanted to come in looking respectable when they enter that building. They didn't want to give them any excuse not to serve them. Now I'm gonna tell you, sidebar, I understand what the agenda was. So, I respect why they did it. But trust and believe, I don't want to eat nowhere. They don't want to serve me. I don't want you to serve me, because I don't want to eat spit. I don't want to eat hair. I don't want to eat snot. I'm just saying.com. Now I'm wondering, what if it was the word boycott? They cut me off. Oh, yeah, they messing with you, huh? Shout out to GB. Okay, so he's agreeing. I'm thinking to Shanta's comment. I'm not sure. So yeah, we're gonna get into it some more, you guys. I want to talk some more, but I do want to pay my respects. And this is Black History Month, so we've been talking about Black history the whole time, right? But I want to really highlight some particulars in the month of Black history and some important people, and just highlight them. So let me do that. Let me sip my tea really fast. Sometimes talking, you could kind of dry mouth sometimes. Yeah, I brought me some little candies. That's what I said I was going to do. Have my little candies available. But anyways, discussing Black history. You guys, if you know me, if you listen to me since I've been doing this, I think 2015, 2016, around the same time that I started listening to Urban View, Sirius XM. I just stumbled on it one day. I had my new car that had the, the satellite radio. And I just heard this man just fussing and talking with his whole chest and just saying what he was saying. And I was like, not used to that. You know what I'm saying? The closest I came to Black radio and just listening to Black perspectives was listening to KCP, which I always did, even as a teenager. That was a ritual for me to get up early and listen to 88.1 Saturday mornings and listen to 2 or 3 shows. I came on, one off the top of my head was Kimberly Bailey. There was a couple others, even with Jockey Jack, but that was a nighttime show. But anyway, that's all I was familiar with when it came to Black radio. That's all I listened to. So when I stumbled across this man and he was saying it with his whole chest, I was like, who is this? And so I started listening to him and just learned so much. Like, a lot of the things that I say now, some phrases, some thoughts, some ideas, just perspectives, come from just listening with the third ear and reading with the third eyes, which one of the things that he insisted that his audience do. And I just learned so much from him. And so over the years, I mean, 5 days a week, 4 hours a day, every morning, it was me, Mr. Joe Madison, and millions of other people glued to the radio, listening to this man take on the day's drama, whatever was happening during the day. And he just did it so well. But he was more than a talk show host. And I, he in November of 2023, he had took a 2 week break, which I was used to because it was around Thanksgiving, and then, a lot of stuff was happening and happening and happening, and so kept looking back like, when is he coming back on? I need to get his perspective. This is the man we go to when stuff is happening in the world and in the community to get his takeaway and just action orders, because he had a lot of marching orders for us because he was a real live activist. This man had been to jail several times. So he knew, what the fight was. But anyways, finally we were told, that he was taking a leave due to sickness. But then sadly, in the coming year, to 2024, we were told the day after his death, he passed January 31st, 2024. We were told February 1st that he had passed away. And I was working at the time, and it shook me. Like, y'all can see I have his book. I had his book. I was really, this is my dude. And it really shook me, and it was hard for me to really focus. And, you never think that you could be so affected by a passing of someone you've never met, you don't know personally. You just spent 5 days a week, 4 hours a day, at his feet, just being grateful that you could have this opportunity to gain so much of the knowledge that he presented. But he passed away, and it was devastating, and it still hurts to this day. But he passed away from prostate cancer. And he was a very he was a big advocate for Black men getting their prostate checked. He talked about that. He talked about it during his whole diagnosis. I think it went back in 2010. So he had been fighting it for so long. And he always had doctors on and people on, and he insisted that Black men and all men go and get their prostate checked. And, and I appreciated that, because the education that he brought from just the experts that came on and just keeping us, letting us know that this is important. Look how long he lived, getting an early diagnosis again in 2010. He passed in 2024. But for those who may not know, prostate cancer makes up about 37% of all the cancers in Black men. About one in six, about one in six of men will be diagnosed with the disease at some point in life, and it's more common in Black men than other racial ethnic groups. The disease is also deadlier for Black men. But just so you guys go get checked. I know y'all don't want nobody putting their finger in your booty. I don't know, find a cute female doctor. I don't know what you got to do. But listen, everybody got an asshole, so it's nothing, okay? But go get checked. Save your life, and or at least extend your life. Make sure you're healthy and eat right, and just understand that it's preventable. So he ended up passing from that. But just to give you a little history on this man, who I just adore still. Some of his notables: he publicized claims of CIA complicity in moving cocaine into the United States. He sought evidence and promoted legislation to declassify possibly related documents. And October 15th of 1996, Mr. Joe Madison and Dick Gregory, the late great Dick Gregory, I know a lot of you know him, and John Newman launched a hunger strike to promote this legislation. A quarter century later, that was in 2021, I believe he did his next hunger strike. Mind you, this man was battling prostate cancer, and he was not eating. He was only drinking fluids, and it was against his doctor's wishes to not do this, because it could make his health worse. But he was so adamant to get voting rights legislation passed that he was willing to starve and die if need be, so that people can see how important having voting rights is. And so he did that, and I can't remember how long he did it for, but it was for a few months for sure. Also, his latest contribution to society was raising close to $200,000 for the Smithsonian African American History and Culture Museum in Washington, D.C. He successfully stayed on the air for 52 hours That's the Guinness World Record confirmed. And that he also was the new record holder for the longest marathon hosting a radio talk show, 52 hours, raising $200,000 for the Smithsonian African American History Museum. He also became a pivotal figure in the rising abolitionist movement to free slaves in Sudan. So this man went all the way to Sudan, that's in Africa, in a missions to South, and missions, he went on missions in South Sudan. He and others have helped to liberate over 7,300 slaves. And George W. Bush's condemnation of Sudan is also partly due to Mr. Madison's momentum. Madison started using the nickname Black Eagle when he co-hosted with the program, he co-hosted a program with Oliver North. I guess you guys know who he is. He helped bring the crack cocaine over. I'm sure he was giving him a run for his money in those conversations, right? So yeah, Oliver North was a conservative whose views were hardly in line with Mr. Joe Madison's. But Oliver North proclaimed himself as Colonel North, and since the eagle is a formidable American symbol, Mr. Madison added himself as the eagle. So Colonel North, Oliver North had his name, and Mr. Madison called himself the eagle. But he later found out that there was once a Black American aviator known as the Black Eagle, Colin Hubert. Colin Hubert Fauntleroy Julian, who was much admired during the Harlem Renaissance. Julian was a soldier of fortune who flew with Emperor Haile Selassie. I'm gonna mess up her name. Anyway, this is an Ethiopian Air Force and was renowned for his remarkable daring in the air. So that's when he came up with the Black Eagle, and that's what we call him, the Black Eagle. But some of the great things that he some of the divine quotes, a lot of the things that he said, I can't think of everything. It's so much information that you guys hear me share every week. I'm always quoting him or mentioning him. I love this quote when he talked about, it's time to start showing your teeth. I'm not talking about how when you smile and everybody can see your teeth. Not how Betty Wright said you can't show your teeth to every guy you meet. It's all right to be a little sweet. He was like showing your teeth like a Doberman pitcher. And he said, when a Doberman pitcher shows his teeth, he's not smiling. And he was talking about being in this political arena and fighting for our freedom, justice, and equality, for diversity and inclusion, and against racism. It's time to show your teeth and stop being a lap dog. The Doberman pitcher don't sit on your lap. Your lap dog, you can rub them and pet them. A Doberman pitcher, when they show you their teeth, you know what time it is. Another phrase he would use is listen with the third ear and read with the third eye. Also, put it where the ghost can get it. So he liked to talk in layman's terms. He said he got that from his grandfather. So don't talk to me with these big words and all around scientific terms. Just keep it plain. Keep it simple. And also, he would say that I'm not going to pass my torch. Some of the people will say you got to pass the torch because of your age. You need to pass the torch. Old folks need to pass a torch. And he would go off. He's like, I'm not passing my torch. I'll light your torch, but I'm not passing my torch. If I pass my torch, that means I'm in the dark and I can't see where the hell I'm going. And I'm paraphrasing. So yeah, and definitely the other thing he would say is the difference between a moment and a movement is sacrifice. And God bless him for that. But during his, later in the close to the time of his passing, us not knowing, me personally, that he was sick and that he was terminally ill, a lot of times he would just be fussing and he would be just dropping knowledge. And he would say stuff like, y'all better be lucky I'm here. And he would just throw that in. Y'all better be glad I'm here. And I was always glad and very lucky that he was here. And God bless Mr. Joe Madison, who passed away January 31st, February 2024. But also another person I want to mention in history, and thank you guys for listening, watching live on YouTube and Facebook. But yeah, I wanted to ask you guys a question. Like, do y'all know how to drive a stick? Do any of y'all know how to drive a stick? Now, I'm not talking about a old girl that was trying to learn how to drive that stick that belonged to Trey, Boys in the Hood. That's not what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? He was asking, can she drive a stick? And she was like, I can learn if you teach me. Not that stick. But Richard Spikes, he invented the 5-gear shift, the stick. I know how to drive a stick. I haven't driven one in probably 2 decades, but I do know how to drive one. So he went from a 4-speed to a 5 speed before the automatic. So shout out to Richard Spikes. He was born on my mama's birthday, October 2nd, 1878, and he died January 22nd, 1963. But he is credited with developing and improving inventions such as a tap, the beer tap, a modification of an automatic gear shift mechanism for motor vehicles, and a safety braking system for trucks and businesses. Notably, his beer tap patent was purchased by the Milwaukee Brewing Company, and variations of his design are still in use today. However, many of his other inventions were not widely adopted during his lifetime. His beer tap patent was purchased by the Milwaukee Brewing Company. Okay, it was a black created by a black man, sold to the Milwaukee Brewing Company, and variations of the design are still in use today. However, many of his other inventions were not widely adopted during his lifetime. Yeah. So he had several patents, even a horizontal swinging barber's chair. So even that. So shout out to Richard Spikes. And that's, I just wanted to plug in some Black history on the first day of Black history. Yeah. But here, getting back to these boycotts and these boycotts, are we putting our money where our mouth is? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Rolls Royce. There's a song, if you guys are familiar with Rolls Royce, they had a song that came out from the soundtrack Car Wash back in 1976. Not The Wash. That was in 2001. I ain't talking about The Wash. It was called Car Wash. And Rolls Royce had a song that said, "Put your money where your mouth is, or you ain't saying nothing." I could hear my mama singing that song when I think about it. Put your money where your mouth is, or you ain't saying nothing. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. They might mute it though if I play it, but are we putting our money where our mouth is, or are we just talking about it and we ain't saying nothing? Like, what are we really doing? And another thing I say is, like I said, even with the Tabitha situation, I felt like that was a middle ground. Like, okay, I can still support Black businesses without going and purchasing non-Black products in Target. And so I thought that was a happy medium where I'm still supporting Tabitha, considering that she's not just, building a wealth for herself. She has employees, right? Other people are eating off of her labor. And like I said, people was coming back at me, and I said, you know what? Black folks always find a problem to any solution. What y'all think about that? What do y'all think? And so I'm like, so is there any formalities here? We just, soon as somebody say they move in DEI, we just say, oh, we're not doing it. But are we looking at the numbers? Like, are we trying to be impactful? Are we saying, hey, if so many million people stop buying here, this is the effects? Shout out to Roland Martin, who kind of, touched on this, who said he estimated the losses for a 30-day boycott at Target would cost Target 897 million, or 29.9 million a day. This is the kind of stuff we need to see. We need to be able to see how effective we're being. So this encourages people not to buy at certain places. If we see that we're going to put a dent, it's really going to be effective, because if it's only a few of us, I mean, hell, you think about voting, we can hardly get people, and that don't cost nothing, to vote. We can hardly get enough people to vote. If we just had a couple more million people come out and vote, just a couple more million, we wouldn't be talking about all this madness that we're talking about right now. But you know what I'm saying? Things happen for a reason, I suppose. But yeah, so if we do a 30-day boycott, that's what I'm asking. How long is this boycott? Then I see a post today that says Until Freedom posted it, and then other people were posting it. And I heard that Reverend Al Sharpton did a list of boycotting, including Target. But there was no strategy. So we have tactics and we have strategy. So the tactic is the boycott. I got that. We're not going to spend our dollars where people are racist. Okay, if you're pulling out diversity, equity, and inclusion, you're racist. You said it. We're not purchasing from you. But then what is the overall strategy? What is the goal? To take them out of business, to make them put DEI back in? And then if they do put DEI back in, do we go back to buying from them? To me, that I don't like that either. That's just like when Denny's did their little racist stunt. And then once they apologized and I guess paid out whatever they paid out, then we turned around and started eating again. That don't mean they're not putting snot in your food. They just not saying it publicly. That's the kind of thing that I think happened with us. We kind of got lazy. And even with the Black president, a lot of people thought that racism had evaporated for some reason, but we think because people apologize, they mean it. How many times has somebody said sorry to you, they didn't mean it? Like sometimes money gets people to say certain things, but that don't mean that's how they feel. We know that they only implemented DEI Target, what was that, in 2021, and a lot of businesses. I mean, it was an influx. Everybody wanted to console the George Floyd people the George Floyd community, who the sympathizers, right? The George Floyd sympathizers. Then all this DEI came into effect. They were writing in the streets, Black Lives Matters, and now it's gone away because they're most of these people, I would say, maybe aren't per se racist. Maybe they're not real fighters, they're not real soldiers, or maybe they were just waiting for the opportunity to back out. But I will say that they're being bullied. They're being told, look, it's illegal. Like they just, even though none of this stuff has stuck, all these executive orders and threats that y'all's incoming president, second term, 34 felony having, criminal, trying to get rid of criminals, and he a criminal, and people like, yeah, yeah, get rid of the criminals. Yeah, yeah, get rid of his ass. He's just telling y'all, quit your jobs or resign. Don't quit your jobs. If you're in a federal job, please don't quit your job. Just fall back, because this, he ain't running nothing. He's breaking a lot of laws, and he's seeing what he can get away with. That's why they have certain people put in places in these judge positions in Supreme Court. And so we just got to fall back. But really, what is the strategy? Like, okay, so now Target loses 188, nearly 900 million in 30 days. You think they're gonna be like, all right, y'all won, and bring it back? And I'm like, do I really want to go back though? Because basically it's transactional with you. It's not about humanity, it's about money, basically, is what you're saying to me. And so I'm not really feeling you, because even Hillary Clinton said that you can't change the hearts and minds of people. You know what I'm saying? You can only just implement laws and make them do stuff. But I don't want to go into a place that don't respect me. You just doing what you got to do. Yes, we have to create laws because we're taxpaying citizens. We drive on these roads. We pay for these roads, these government buildings. Our tax dollars help pay for them. So yes, we should be included. These things don't belong to a private owner. These are public buildings in some cases, wherever our tax dollars are being used to maintain these businesses and institutions. Then yes, we should be a part of it. You can't exclude us and then tell us we're begging, or this is racist. No, y'all racist, because we have to create laws in order for y'all to ensure that we had a piece of the pie too. How that work? Y'all take our taxes, but there's no representation. So yeah, we have to do what we have to do in order to get people to make sure we had access to things. But I mean, yeah. So I don't know if you guys want to hear what Tabitha had to say. I can play a little bit of it, just giving her perspective. But I understood where she was coming from, and I respect her point of view. And I don't know if it's going to change anybody's mind. Like I said, I haven't been back to Target since I heard that they had pulled out of DEI. But like I said, I was open to going back, considering what what was said. So here's some of it. Just a couple of minutes.
Y'all all right? I know. It has been a tough week, right? And maybe it's been a tough 2025, and we are still in January. But I know many of you are asking and have asked and sent me messages about the recent DEI announcements at Target as well. And as disheartening as it is for me, I'm not the only one affected by this, right? It's for everyone who is a woman-owned business, minority-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses. It's for so many of us who work so very hard to be placed into retail, to finally be seen and approved for retail. Because contrary to whatever the world might tell you, it has been very hard for Black-owned businesses to hit shelves, right? Which is why it's such a big deal when we do finally land inside of retail. So it is definitely heartbreaking to feel unsupported, right? However, I am in business in multiple ways, with Target, with Walmart, and Amazon, right? I sell Donna's Recipe, my hair care products, right, are on Amazon. They're also uh, in Target. And of course, I have a huge partnership um, with Target. I sell my seasonings at Walmart. I do business all over, just like many other people. And what I can tell you is if we all decide to boycott and be like, no, we're not spending no money at these organizations, listen, I get it. And if that's how you feel, honey, I 1000% get it. But so many of us will be affected and our sales will drop. Our business will be hurt. And if any of you know business, it doesn't just happen overnight where you can just go take all your stuff and pull it off the shelves. There's a process. And then you got to, like, where you going to put it? You got to have a place to store it. That's money, right? You got to have another place to sell it, which is almost impossible sometimes. And even if you sell online, it's a process when it comes to business. And everyone does not have the funds or the means or the availability, the space to house their own products, right? But the thing that concerns me the most, and I want you to hear me and hear me well, if we all decide to stop supporting said businesses and say, you know, I can't buy nothing from there, even the businesses who were affected by the DEI ban, right? What that does is you take all our sales and they dwindle down. And then those companies get to say, oh, your products are not performing. And they can remove them from the shelves and then put their preferred businesses on the shelves. And then what happens to all the businesses who've worked so hard to get where they are? Then what happens, right? Now, I know that something that could solve it is ownership of these big corporations, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a long way to go there. There are amazing companies like the Village Market in Atlanta, right, who support small businesses, and you can go in there and there's some amazing things that you can buy, but it's one store and it's very small. We're talking about mass market.
So that's just a little bit of it. I think it's like 10 minutes long. So just getting her perspective and just understanding where she's coming from. It's not just as easy just going in and grabbing and stuff. Like it's a process. It's levels to this. I kind of saw, listen to reason. I kind of saw where she was coming from, and I'm just looking at it from both sides. I'm also a Libra, so I got to have that balance. I can't just, just go one way without, analyzing the whole situation. So maybe that's just me. And I say that because the majority of people that I've spoken to, again, are not, you know, agreeing with me. They like, nah, it's all or nothing. And again, it is what it is. But again, we have to be strategic. I mean, if you think about it, like even at McDonald's, right? We know that McDonald's has pulled out of DEI, right? But some of those franchises are Black owned. So yeah, how does that work? They're part of a corporation. They don't have this to say so to tell the corporation to they not withdraw DEI over here. So what do we do then? Now are we gonna single out just Black owned McDonald's franchises, or all of them get the middle finger? Now keep in mind, I don't eat McDonald's. I'm not that ain't I'm cool. That's like a whole NFL Colin Kaepernick situation with me. It's easy for me to boycott McDonald's. Okay, but for some people, that's they jam. They pull up every morning. They get they egg McMuffin and they coffee or they orange juice, they pancakes or whatever. How does that work? You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that work? Are we just giving a middle finger to Black businesses? Because that is going to affect the community, not just that particular owner. We're just looking at just one person, but it's a domino effect. And I'm just giving you food for thought, for you can have a critical thought. I'm not trying to tell you, sway you one way or the other. I'm just saying, we really got to think about this, and make it make sense. What is the whole overall goal? What is the overall goal? And what is our, how do we intend to get to that goal? And then once we meet that goal, then what do we do next? So we have a strategy, we have our tactics, like make it all make sense, And then, I mean, we can really, if you really want to pick it apart, okay, we just only buy Black businesses. So I'm buying my lipstick directly from the supplier. So that lipstick was made by a woman who does who makes lip bar, for example. This is what I'm wearing, Boss Lady Lip Bar. She makes a product. But who made the container? Who made the plastic container that the lipstick resides in? Is this a DEI person? This whole plastic manufacturer could have pulled away from DEI. We don't know who she buys her containers from. You know what I'm saying? So now, okay, we buy directly from her because we're not buying it from Target. But now come to find out the supplier for the container she uses to store her makeup in, the lipstick and powders or whatnot, foundations, are um, racist. They don't support diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now what? You know what I'm saying? So it's not as cut and dry to me as I think people want it to be, like the Montgomery bus boycott. Because again, the Montgomery bus boycott just meant that they did not get on the bus. And then the strategy was people carpooled. People even shipped in shoes from other states. They shipped in gently used shoes and maybe new shoes to these people to help and support them in their boycott. And it didn't happen overnight. They come off for 30 days and then we just gonna go back. They like, yeah, black people play too much. You know what I'm saying? This was 13 months in Montgomery that these people was walking to work, carpooling. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing that out here. We're not doing this in this COVID world. It's a lot of things we aren't gonna do that they did back then in that one city, because it wasn't the whole country, but other people did participate and help get these people to where they needed to be. So there was a sacrifice. People was tired. I mean, I guess the upside was they probably was looking good, waist was, snatched because you're getting that exercise, your health is up, your heart health, you know what I'm saying? But overall, it's an inconvenience, you know what I'm saying? But no black people were affected employment wise as far as the bus company was, because there was no black bus drivers. No black people worked for this black company. So them not riding the bus did affect them. They took a dent, and that's why they turned around and allowed these people, black people, to ride the bus. But imagine if there were bus drivers, black bus drivers, and black people that work for the bus company, how that would have affected them monetarily, and would they have had the same goal or the same tactic? Would they have boycotted? I don't know. We will never know, because that's not what it was. But it's critical thinking again, just things to think about. And then, just because I'm looking at the collateral damage. I'm just looking at the collateral damage. Yeah. And then, some of us, we're staying on certain platforms because we're making money. A lot of people make money on TikTok. A lot of people make money on Facebook and Instagram. For whatever reason, you're addicted to it. It's, that's how you stay engaged, but there's other ways to get news and information for those who aren't using these platforms to make money, or do like y'all told Tabitha to do. There's fan base. You can actually invest in fan base. I think it's as low as $400 for so many shares. And, God willing, you might become a millionaire. I'm still looking into it. And once I learn more about it, I'll talk to you all about it, because I think the cutoff date is coming up soon at the end of February as far as the price for purchasing shares. This is a black owned. This is Isaac Hayes III. Son, who has this platform. And so we don't have to deal with racist people. We can go to that platform, but it's not moving as quickly as these other platforms that we run to, these foreigners, the Chinese platforms, and these white oligarchs and whatnot. But there are other resources, but we don't run as fast over there. So are we really putting our money where our mouth is? And do we really think that ice water is colder? I'm just telling you, a couple of teaspoons in fan base, and that water be just as cold too. I'm just saying, go check it out. Again, the difference between a moment and a movement is sacrifice. And, that's what we got to do. Shout out to Gil Heron, who said the revolution will not be televised. It will be live. And so I kind of want to touch on what he had to say in reference to the revolution, because he kind of gave, a breakdown of what he was saying when he did say that back in the day. Because he said that, well, I want to say that was in the 60s. I can't remember when that album came out. The revolution will not be televised, it will be live. But I could respect that. And I could go ahead and just give you his take on that, what he said and why he said it. Gil Scott.
The catchphrase, what that was all about, the revolution will not be televised, that was about the fact that the first change that takes place is in your mind. You have to change your mind before you change the way you live and the way you move. So when we said that the revolution will not be televised, we were saying that that the thing that's going to change people is something that no one will ever be able to capture on film. It'll just be something that you see, and all of a sudden you realize, I'm on the wrong page. Or I'm on the right page, but I'm on the wrong note. And I've got to get in sync with everyone else to understand what's happening in this country. The catchphrase.
Okay, so just to give a little thought of what he was saying when he said that, and that's what it has to be. You have to change your mind, the way you think. That's with anything, right? With me wanting to lose weight, I have to change the way I see food, the way I see libations, the way you have to change your whole thought process. It's a whole undoing. It's a whole rebuilding. Sometimes you have to destroy certain things to build. And that's the same thing when it comes to this revolution where we're trying to um, establish our own independence from these oligarchs that just want to keep us oppressed and keep us and make us enslaved and just be under their reign as they continue to worship their God, which is money and power. Out of every dollar, 2 pennies goes back to Black owned businesses. So out of every dollar that we spend, 2 pennies goes back to Black owned businesses. And it's said that if we increase by 8 cents, we're talking pennies, y'all, we would be able to hire more than one employee. So, we talked about these corporations that are Black owned, 96% are solely owned. It's just one, the owner is the one running it and can't really bring in new employees. But if we just increase our spending to Black owned businesses, they could have hired at least one more person, just adding 8 additional cents to these Black owned businesses. So that's how simple it is. And we have the money, $1.7 trillion. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to romanticize it, because a lot of that money that we are circulating within our communities or into this country is based on discrimination, high interest rates, predatory loans. Like got payday loans. You're paying late fees and credit card. All of that contributes. Aside from all the spending on luxury items and things we don't necessarily need, or things that we do need, like food, clothing, and shelter. All of that combined, 1.7 trillion. So we got the money coming from somewhere. We got it. We got it. We just gotta be strategic on how we spend it. And you know what? If we are strategic enough, we'll end up actually saving money instead of, because we start going to Black owned banks and buying with Black people and putting them in a position to be able to buy bulk wholesale, where they can buy things at a cheaper rate and be able to sell it to you cheaper, have more employees so that maybe they can keep the doors open later. So when you pull up in some instances where they say they open till 5 and then at noon they're not there, small percentage, but we here to talk. So we family, right? It's just between us. We ain't telling everybody else. But this is not just Black businesses, but I'm just saying we family, right? That's my birdie Matt. We family, right? So just having that conversation. So we need to change the way we think about patronizing and the economics in our community. We need to be very proud to spend our money in Black communities, regardless of the experience, because we go other places and they don't treat us right, and some of us come back. It's like the Stockholm syndrome. We come back for more. Some of us like the toxic. So with us, we're a little harder on our people. And that's what I don't like. You know what I'm saying? Because I think sometimes our people feel more relaxed with us. So they may be, a little less professional. There's no code switching, which doesn't mean that you throw out courtesy. I'm not saying it's okay not to be polite to people, because if somebody is coming into your business, you should be very happy to see them and smile and be very accommodating. But I've been in places where I told them no bacon on my grits, and it was like attitude. Yeah, I'll just give you your money back. If I had served you bacon on your grits, I would have apologized. I would have brought it back to you without bacon, and I would have gave you a coupon to come back again, because I want your business and I want you to feel comfortable and confident that you can come here again and we won't make that mistake again. But it's just different people. But it's a personality thing. Some people shouldn't be in business. You know what I'm saying? They just have a little extra money and they think they can just do it right, and they really can't. We also got to think ahead, right? We're going to have to be strategic. Buy in bulk. You know what I'm saying? When you go onto, I'm going to mention a bunch of websites. I'll go ahead and post some now. Some Shop Black websites. You got Black businesses. If you go to these websites, you can get a host of stuff. Lotions, toilet paper, toiletries, clothing, just all different type of things that Black businesses supply. Maybe you have to buy in bulk, because you can't just pull up to the corner store and buy these things, because that again is a racist store. They don't support diversity, equity, and inclusion. So now you have to shop online. So it might be more convenient for you to buy more at once for those of us who can't afford to do that, right? And so we have to be strategic. And think ahead. So what you use on a regular. Like, we always need toilet paper. You're not ever going to not need toilet paper. So stock up on it and buy it from, maybe you catch it on sale on one of these websites, right? Invisible.org, indivisible.org, Shop Black Live. blackfromablackwoman.com, Black app, shopthehood.org, buyfromablackwoman.com. There's many more. If you guys want to share it in the chat, please feel free to do so. And shout out to Larry Daniel Favors. Again, I listen to Urban View religiously, and I encourage you all to do the same, because there are some very wise and intelligent people hosting shows who care about us. And they're educated, they're lawyers, they're activists, they're educators, they're authors. I mean, good people, good educated people who got good sense, and they'll lead you in the right direction. But Larry Daniel Favors has a show on Sirius XM Urban View, and she is spearheading, as of today, January 1st, FUBU. As we know, that stands for Us by Us. So it's FUBU February. So she's encouraging people to buy Black. Not everything. What was it, Terry Ijeoma? She did that for a whole year. That's Buy From a Black Woman. That's her website. She did that for a whole year. Everything she purchased was Black. And she said it was a struggle. And again, she had to be strategic. There were sacrifices she had to make, blase, right? Because, convenience sometimes is a reason why we do that. What we do, we pay more for things and we let people treat us a certain way. But Larry Daniel Favors isn't saying buy everything Black. She's saying just start with one product. So for example, me, I'm gonna wear my lipstick, and Lip Bar does it for me. So I always make sure whenever I buy my lipstick, I buy directly from them. Maybe toilet paper next, maybe other household products, maybe restaurant I go to. I only go to Black owned restaurants. In our book club, it's supposed to be we only bring Black wines. For my brother, whenever we have our gatherings, he's always pulling up with E40, tequila, vodka, wine. He always pulling up with a Black owned liquor. So there's different things you can do, whatever floats your boat, whatever is in your price range, go for it. So those are some of the websites, again. And before there was the Montgomery bus boycott, there was a Kentucky separate coach law. This was approved back in 1892, and it stipulated that all passenger trains operated in the trains that operated in the state must clearly label each coach or color. So this had been going on since 1892 and even prior, but they actually put a law into effect to implement racism, so that people could be racist and say my ice water is colder, and so since yours is warm, you don't get to sit in front. So we got coach and color. Coach and color. Is that what's up? Is that what it is? And so that law was repealed in 1966 after the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So you see how long we've been at this. Now keep in mind, these racist, white, right-wing, KKK strategists, all of that, they doing the same thing. Whenever we get 2 steps ahead, they trying to pull it back. The fire was lit when we got a Black president. They stay on top of trying to reverse all of the efforts we've made to just be respected as tax-paying citizens, where we don't have to step off a goddamn sidewalk because you lighter than me. What the really? I'll whoop your ass. Look, I'm just saying. But all of the things that we've done, our ancestors have done to bring us to this point, they're undoing it as we speak. This man hasn't been in office for an entire month yet, and he's already trying to undo civil rights. They've already undid affirmative action. They were able to get that going in under the Biden administration because they had the Supreme Racist Court, most of them -2. Just so much. So we've been at this and we can't stop. It's not fair to our kids. Our kids are going to have kids. What are we leaving them with? We're going to be out of here and they're going to be oppressed. They're going to be back in times when our families fought to pull us out of. And because we too lazy to get off our ass and vote, call our senators or call any senator and bully them, like on the Wash. Remember how Eminem kept calling, threatening, what's his name, Dr. Dre? I think he was a Wash owner, telling him what he's going to do to him. Just call him. I ain't saying threatening. I'm just being funny, y'all. But I'm just saying, it don't cost us nothing to call the senators and the Congress and let them know, look, we got every 2 years, we voting for Congress and Senate. So in between voting for president every 4 years, these Congress and Senates, they up. Look, they on the trading block. They on this Black Friday for their ass. You on the trading block. We looking at you and deciding who's swift and strong and can have our best interest at heart. And we feel like that you will carry the torch and continue on with our mission, which is simple. We're not trying to overpower anybody. We're not trying to rule over people. We just want to be left the hell alone and not discriminated against. We want the same things that everybody else wants, but people are so hateful that they won't allow that to happen. There's been bus boycotts. The Baton Rouge bus boycott, that was in 1953. That was in Louisiana. And it was a response to the city ordinance that allowed Black passengers to sit in the white section of buses if it was empty. What the hell? What makes you better though? What makes it, oh, we paying the same taxes, we bleed the same blood. Y'all just need somebody to look down on because you evil. You evil. And your God is power. Like you worship power that much that you want somebody to look down upon. You can't just get on a damn bus and have a freaking seat. Okay? So that boycott ended after the city council. You got to vote locally too. The city council and bus drivers agreed to compromise. So it's not just about the president. It's not just about the Senate and Congress, although that's very, very important. Those three branches of government, legislative, judicial, and executive, are very, very important. The city council was able to resolve this issue in Louisiana and Baton Rouge. This is why you got to vote every 2 years. You got to be engaged. It's tiring, but look what people went through. Look how far we've come. As tired as they got, look what we have, and we take it for granted. We take it for granted, and we act like saying that people die for our rights is cliche. Like this is a different time. It's not a different time. We just look different. But it's still the same. It's the same. Yeah, but it wasn't just a Montgomery bus boycott. And again, the Woolworth boycott, that was in 1960, right? These people, these young men and women, I think there were women as well, strategically decided on that day that they were going to go in there and have a seat at the restaurant bar and be served, knowing that they were going to be refused. Okay. And so they went on with it. These were Black men. They were just Black men. They were refused service. They were ignored when they went into Woolworths. But it was desegregated in July of 1960. Okay. And with other stores and restaurants, they started to follow suit. The lunch counter sit-ins is what it was called. Spawn, just a lot of, they didn't want us at pools and beaches. It was just a lot. But because people made these sacrifices and had to go through what they had to go through, getting spat at, getting hosed down, getting bitten by dogs, getting beat, being jailed. Now you can go sit at any restaurant. You ain't got to ask. It ain't no colors only. But that can change overnight. And like I said, I don't really want to go in a place that's going to treat me like that. But at the same time, you don't get to treat me like that. My tax dollars is the reason why your building is on this street. So you're going to respect me or go move to some rural area where it's just you and your white people, okay? No matter what we do, they're going to always try to take things away from us. You think about Malcolm X. So the whole strategy here, you guys, is that they use racism. All of this executive order stuff is a big distraction, but they use racism and classism as a distraction. While we're sleeping at the 11th hour, they're changing laws and passing bills while we're sleeping that are going to hurt all of us, not just Black people, not just Mexican people, Latino people, not just Asian people, not just the LGBTQ community, everybody. If you are not a rich white man, will be affected by the laws that they're implementing because they don't give a about you. They care about making money, and everybody else they want to be they biatch, basically. Okay. Think about it. Nobody was checking for Martin Luther King until the Poor People's Movement. They literally shut him down immediately when he tried to bring poor whites and poor Blacks together to fight for fair wages. Malcolm X, they weren't checking for him. I mean, they was watching, but they weren't checking for him until he said he went to the World Court and said he wanted to bring the United States to justice for violation of human rights. They weren't checking for him because what did that do? Human rights ain't Black rights. Human rights ain't Asian rights. Human rights ain't Latino rights. It's everybody. Human rights. They were violating the human rights of people, and they needed to be held accountable. Then he had to go. So each time we come together with a common interest, the oligarchs enter through with an element of division. Again, it's race, class, sex, or religion. They're going to do whatever they can do to get us talking like we're talking. We're going to be strategic, though. This conversation ain't just landing on deaf ears. We know what time it is, and we know what this conversation is about. But in the meantime, you got people on social media arguing and bickering and talking about how these people need to go back to their country and all of this. But Martin Luther King said it best. He said, the greatest fear for the oligarch is for Black people and poor people of all races to form a mass voting bloc. Okay, that's what he said. And I wonder why. Because voting does matter. The voting does matter. I gotta get this clip. I gotta get this clip in because I really enjoyed listening to it. This was on the Karen Hunter show. She was playing a clip of a journalist, Eddie Wong, who was breaking bread during an interview with Jared Taylor White, who was just a businessman. And you guys may have seen this trending on social media. I do remember seeing that as well. But yeah, so the conversation that they had, again, the discussion is, in the mind of white people, their thought process overall is that they want to be able to be in power. Maybe they fear that if we had more power than them, I don't know why we can't have equal power, like just be human power. But if we had more power than them, that we would be evil as them. But we are not an evil people. We just happen to live in an evil world. So that's what that is. But I just thought this was an interesting conversation, and it'll bring perspective to what I'm trying to articulate right now. So they were discussing protecting whiteness and why so many, they were discussing protecting whiteness. And let me just go ahead and play the clip. It was very interesting, about 2 minutes.
How it is you voted for Donald Trump when you're so into facts, because his entire campaign is not based in facts. It was all based in propaganda and emotion.
I voted for Donald Trump for one reason only. His policies, if implemented, would slow the dispossession of whites in the United States. If you were to deport all illegal immigrants, if you were to think very hard about letting in any Muslims, all of this would slow the rate at which whites are becoming a minority.
Why are you so worried about the white dispossession of America?
Because I want my people to survive. Is that so strange? We don't control China. We don't control any place where whites are not a majority. And if we become a minority, we will not control our own destiny anymore.
I grew up in this country as a minority, as the children of immigrants. I was their first child born in America. And while I didn't have much possession or didn't much control, I really enjoyed myself. And I think that if you ask a lot of Americans, they would say that I had a lot to offer this country. According to you, I guess I would be perpetuating the dispossession of white America.
That is true. That is true.
Would you say that you wouldn't want me in this country?
At some point, when my ancestors built this nation, they did not build it with the intention of giving it away to Mexicans or Chinese or Asians or anyone else.
Do you consider it, you keep saying your ancestors built this country, you consider that a fact?
Who else built it?
Black people, Native Americans, Chinese people who came and built the railroads.
Do you think none of that could have been
Italian people?
But they're Europeans, aren't they?
Wow. It's
You see what I'm saying? First of all, this is why they don't want to teach history, because if you teach history, then you will understand why so many cities have Mexican names. So many streets have Mexican names. So many things are named for the Native Americans because this was their shit. You stole it. And somehow in your mind, you've convinced yourself that you built this city on rock and roll. I have to keep from crying. But he believed that, he said it with his whole chest. And they understand that by 2050, 2040, between 2035 and 2040, they will be the minority. And they're so fearful because you're so evil. You think the rest of the world is as evil. No, our DNA is a little different. Our DNA is a little different, because things that we've lived, our ancestors have lived, they passed on to us. And history teaches us that we come from good people, that made good decisions. And, you even hear the stories on white women, on social media talking about their favorite thing is a black woman calling them baby and just being comforting to them. We have a comforting nature. We're a motherly people. That's why black women are so freaking tired, because we always trying to save everybody. It's just in our nature. It's just in our nature. But you're so fearful. You're so fearful. And, you have this is what he's saying with his whole chest. This is what this man is saying. Again, what was his name? Yeah, Jared Taylor. Yeah, he was being interviewed with. I mean, he said it with his whole chest to this Asian man. That was his concern. That they don't have. You worried about color. You worried about race. Like, that's your main concern, not healthcare, not the well-being of society, not the fact that all the executive orders are taking away regulations. We got the bird flu out here, and we don't know the stats, the numbers. We don't know how many people are being affected. We won't know a lot of things. I'm so fearful of another pandemic. Like I said, I lost people that I love deeply because of the negligence of y'all's president. And here we are again. He's taking away all the regulations. You got Elon Musk talking about there's going to be more robots by 2050 than humans. Now, that's not just them androids, people that look like us, but just robots in general, working in restaurants, just doing the jobs that people need in order to be able to feed their families. Where are they going to get income from? Y'all going to force us to build our robots in prisons? Because it sounds like that's what they're trying to do, because now they're reopening these private prisons so that they can put some of these, what they're calling illegals. Did you know that it's not a criminal offense to be here undocumented? Maybe a civil offense. You got a whole ass criminal as president right now, but y'all, yeah, get rid of them. They're going to schools. What kid is breaking a law in elementary school? What did he do? Did he steal some bubble gum? They shipping people back that maybe committed theft, maybe didn't do anything, maybe just can't even prove that they're actually a citizen. People are being terrorized. They're being terrorized. And we need the three branches of government. It's very important that we have the three branches of government. And they're trying to dismantle that. And they're doing good, but we need to be calling. There's a 5 calls app. You guys. It's called 5 calls app. And that'll get you right to any senator or congresswoman, representative. And you can call them, like I said, how Eminem did on the Wash. And just talk. Don't threaten them, but you know what I'm saying? Just let them know how you feel about all of these things that's affecting everybody. Got people shooketh. All these people that voted for this man are now calling these representatives, because they know these people that vote, they know to reach out to these representatives because they're still their constituents. Whether you voted for these people or not, they still represent you. They are there as a service to you. They might not be doing what you want them to do, but they're supposed to be. You hired them, and you can fire them. So these people that put this man into office now are just shooketh, because they're being affected by all of these executive orders. So I don't think he meant this to happen to us. Yes, he did. He didn't give a damn. He's signing stuff and not reading it. He's signing away all of the Project 2025 Heritage Foundations, all of these proposals and all of the agendas that they have. He's signing away. Just keep paying him. Facebook is about to pay him $25 million because remember they cut him off because of his slander and his lies, but now that's gone away. But they're turning around and paying him in a settlement for $25 million. No, that's just some under the table type stuff going on. It's so much, y'all. It's just so much. It's just so much. And you just think about how these people just really want to switch it up. They want to change history. And it's wild. Even I was listening to, it was a conversation called Face Off. It was a clip, but I don't watch Fox News, but Matt Patrick, he had a clip. And he was talking to a community activist, Quanell X, and they were having a conversation about, just the status of the immigration situation and what he had to say about that. So I'll see if I have that clip too. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I know we spending a lot of time today, and I won't be here much longer, but I took the time to get these clips. Y'all gonna get these clips. Okay, so again, this is a conversation again talking about just listening to the perspective of how this white man perceives history versus the true facts of history and how they say it with their whole chest. And it's just amazing. So again, this is a community activist, Quanell X, with Matt Patrick on the Face Off show.
But Matt, my problem with this is, why are we so worried about getting rid of all of the Mexicans or Hispanics that are quote unquote here, if they're illegal or not? At the end of the day, many of them are paying taxes. Many of them have been here for generations and decades. And Matt, trying to get rid of 4 or 5 or 3 million people all at once is not going to work. We don't have the resources. We don't have to do it all at once. And secondly, Matt, listen, there is no such thing as an illegal Mexican immigrant coming into Texas, because they're only coming home. Texas, Arizona, and California was stole from the Mexicans. Don't start this. This all belongs to them. So they're only coming home. And then here it is, you white folks stole the land from the Indians, but yet you're the natural, real illegal immigrant. So let's start with the things you said that are already wrong. First of all, they're coming here, they're not paying any taxes. You telling me they're paying taxes? They're not paying taxes. Nobody knows who the heck they are. No, they're not paying any taxes. When they buy a product, they pay a tax on it. Let's continue. When they buy a car, they pay a tax on it. You come into this country illegally. That is a law that you're breaking. And that's why they have to be sent back to wherever they came from. They want to come through the front door. That is the correct way to come in. And the city of Houston has to stop allowing this, or we're never going to get them to stop coming in here. Look, Matt, that's what we got to do. Follow the law. But Matt, where is the compassion that the indigenous Indians had for white people in this country? Why do you keep going back? They let you all come in. What are you going back? And you came in and raised a whole lot of hell. Don't start. Trump called bringing out history. Try and explain what's going on today. Trump called the Mexicans illegal criminals coming into America. Well, the biggest illegal criminal ever coming to America was white people. So you don't give a damn if people break into this country. I don't give a damn. I wonder what's going to happen when they come to rob your house. I don't give a damn about hypocrites who came here illegally and stole all of this and now want to blame them before they're coming back home. To all of the Mexicans, don't worry about this. Just keep having babies, and in 30 years, all these white folks will be under your control. To Americans, let's stand up and do what the hell we're supposed to do and stop letting the city of Houston be an open door. This ain't no sanctuary city. Don't listen to that. This is a real city. Just keep having babies, and at the end of the day, you'll run everything in Texas. Just keep having babies. Now you understand why I got to come here every single week, and I gotta go after this man and maybe get through that thick skull one day. In 20 years, you're gonna be the minority in Texas.
You heard what he said. In 20 years, you're going to be a minority in Texas. This dude, like, you want to skip over the whole fact that your ancestors stole a country. And now you want to call people illegal. You can't just start the story in the middle, bro. You can't do it. We woke. We from the woke culture. We don't sleep because sleep is the cousin of death. I'm just saying. Y'all Icewater's not colder. I'm just saying. And y'all this is why they're trying to take away history. They don't want us to know this because he believed what he's saying. You can't convince me that white man do not believe that this country belongs to him. You can't tell him that this country was stolen. The simple fact that there's a criminal as president, and in the same freaking sentence, this man is talking about criminals coming here illegally, people coming here illegally. Your ancestors came here illegally. They continue to move the goalposts every time we check them. We play by the rules. Shout out to the Democrats. Y'all get on my nerves too. But we play by the rules, and this is what happens. You move the goalposts, and then you turn around and say, no, you got to go by the rules. What? You got a president that got 6 bankruptcies. It's just so much, y'all. It's so much. And here's the thing, because we know the overall goal, boycotting or whatever we're doing, calling our senators, getting on the 5 calls app, calling our senators, letting them know, especially JR, I didn't get into him. Maybe next week we'll talk about all these people that's being appointed. But JR Kennedy, really? Y'all, I ain't gonna waste my time talking about him right now, but call and let them know we not accepting didn't even earn it people. Okay, none of y'all are qualified. Not even y'all's president. He don't even have a college degree. Damn it, y'all. You can't be a manager. I don't think you probably got to have an associate's degree to be a manager at McDonald's. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you don't have any experience. You have the most unqualified people in positions. And you got the nerves to try to play in our faces and tell us that people in positions, because we have to implement certain things like affirmative action, diversity, equity, and inclusion, in order to just get in the door, in our tax-paying door, um, with all the qualifications, overqualified, because a lot of times Black women are told they're overqualified. It's just amazing, y'all. But listen to this. Even if we got everything, because the goal is, right, just to have our own. If you talk to certain people in the community, we want our own land, we want our own society. We saw how that worked for Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We saw how they burnt up our sites where we had airplanes, doctors, nurses. We had just regular blue collar people, white collar, schools, communities, minding our Black business. Some white woman got claimed to be raped by a Black man on the elevator. Hundreds of men pull up because they hear that this Black man is going to be hung, and they're like, nah, baby, y'all ain't gonna be able to do it. And all hell breaks loose because one of their white asses got caught up and caught one. And now they want to go burn down a whole city because they jealous. They can't just leave us alone. We've seen this over and over and over again with our leaders, with our communities. But this is what it is. That don't mean we stop, because I don't want to be enslaved. I do not want people oppressing me. This is bad enough. I don't want it to get any worse than this. But we see it over and over again. No matter what we do, if we leave them to their own devices and allow them to have their own state and inbreed and do whatever they want to do, they still gonna bring their asses over to our territory because they can't mind their business. If they drink their water, they probably, would they probably wouldn't crack either. Drink your water and mind your business. How about that, .com? Tweet that. Drink your water and mind your business. But it's something about you, something in your DNA causes you to not be satisfied. Don't make it seem like you just don't want to be integrated with us. Because even when we're separate and doing our own thing, y'all find y'all way over to us. Y'all even mess with the Sentinelese people. Y'all remember that story back in 2018? So there's a story of the Sentinelese people who were, like I said, drinking their water and minding their business. They're Aborigine. So this guy, I want to say he's white, but he may be Asian, by this name Chow, John Allen Chow, 27-year-old from Vancouver, Washington, was on a mission. He was an avid hiker. He was on a mission to, I guess, turn these people into Christians. I don't know if he knew what they were, if religion was even their thing, but he was a nonprofit director of a Christian missionary who ventured into North Centennial Island by a paddle, okay, and ended up dying by bow and arrow. So this man paddled his ass over to this area, which was where the Sentinelese people live under the Indian government, where you are strictly forbidden by Indian government to come into contact with them. It's been said that, because they're so isolated, that they can't be exposed to other humans outside of their location. So he died paddling over there because his mission was to bring Christianity to them. He wanted to evangelize these isolated native tribes, minding their business and drinking their water. This is what I'm saying. Like, it don't even matter. Like, I don't know. There's something in the DNA. I'm just saying. And so you went over there. He paddled his ass over there, and before he can get there, they hit him with a bow and arrow right off the island of the coast of India. So he's gone. So people can't come over here. It's like, that's how we got to live in order to keep these people away from us. It's like a virus or something. It's a bug. But I guess that's just the world we live in, right? And again, this was a tribe, again, rarely had contact with the wider world, because the fear of their immune system being affected by microbes that they're not, used to. In 1956, the government of India declared South Centennial Island a tribal reserve and prohibited travel within 3 nautical miles. Again, this dude didn't listen. They drinking their water and minding their business. He paddled over there because he wanted to evangelize them. Don't that sound familiar? When you think about them undesirables that came here, they told us they were pilgrims and brought Christianity to the Native Americans. Like they didn't already know God and understand God and worship and respect God and honor God in his land and all of the things that God provided for them to be able to sustain themselves, the trees and the soil. They knew everything and taught them that, just like the Africans did. So it just sounds real familiar how they just be meddling, and so yeah, there is armed patrol there, and they maintain armed patrol. They don't allow photography. Yeah, And it's a small community. They estimate they range between 35 to 500 individuals, but mostly between 50 to 200. Nobody really knows. Minding their business. You never hear nothing about these people. But this dude came all the way from Vancouver, Washington to evangelize them. Like, the arrogance of people. Who are you? Who made you? Think about the Native Americans. Again, I talked about them. These undesirables came over here. They welcomed them respectfully as humble people because that's what's in their DNA. And what did they do? They slaughtered these people. They did them so bad. You think about the Black Panthers. All they were doing was trying to have peace, freedom, justice, and equality. And what did they do? They even provided free lunch to kids, to the poor community, which is implemented now in schools. That y'all new president, second term, 34 felony having, coochie grabbing, six bankruptcy. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's like it's a real reality show. That man, he did his thing. He did his thing with this reality show. They were doing all positive things. Once these people got with the poor white community and started speaking, shout out to Stokely Carmichael and a lot of other leaders, even in my family. Once they started gathering together and understanding that this wasn't a race thing, it was a class thing, that they used that. J. Edgar Hoover, he was a leader, the director of the FBI at the time, called them the greatest threat among Black supremacist groups in internal security. Soon as they saw them making progress in a positive way, what did they do? It was an influx of cocaine, drugs brought into the community, heroin brought into the community. You know what I'm saying? Again, Black Wall Street. It's a lot. It's a lot. I would strongly suggest people interview an elder, interview your grandparents, your great grandparents, talk to them, ask them about their life. I just learned my grandmother said because I was teased one day saying, I've been working since I was 14, I'm ready to retire. And she was like, what? I've been working since I was 8. I think it was 6 or 8. I can't remember off the top of my head. And I was shocked to hear that my grandmother, young looking lady, 91 years old, was picking cotton with her mother. How many of y'all 6-year-olds pick cotton? How many of y'all 6-year-olds work sun up to sundown in our time? And they're trying to go back to that. You got representatives in the Senate and Congress. You have a representative saying that instead of giving free lunch, make these kids go to work. At what age? What? I worked. I had a part-time job to supplement being able to have clothes and food. But shouldn't we be focused on our education? Shouldn't that be the most important thing for our United States citizens, to be well prepared to honor and to lead this country, to be innovative, to be intelligent? Shouldn't that be important? Shouldn't that be important? The 5 calls apps, y'all. Go to the 5 calls app. Call your senator, 202-224-3121. No for RFK Jr. and all them other weirdos. 202-224-3121. 5 calls app will get you there too, okay? Don't forget the Southern strategy, y'all. Paul Rayridge said it best. He said we don't want the majority of people to vote. When the majority of people vote, they lose. And he was a leader, a co-founder of the Heritage Foundation. He died in 2008, but the Southern strategy lives on. Why do you think there was so much voter suppression? So much voter suppression. 2 more things before I get out of here, y'all. 2 more things. As I said, y'all gonna get these clips. I love y'all for it, though. Y'all gonna get these clips. There was an interview done by Kimberly Crenshaw. She spoke. Kimberly Crenshaw, and she's actually an American civil rights advocate and a scholar. And she has some important things to say in reference to all of these executive orders and the changes and the things that are happening. And I just wanted to put this bug in your ear before we close out, leaving you with a message from the late, great Mr. Joe Madison. So let me just get that up for you guys, for Kimberly Crenshaw. And where's my girl at? Then we can get on up out of here, but maybe we won't. But I think this is it here. No, that's not it. We might not get to Kimberly Crenshaw. We can always do her next week. So yeah, because we're closing out, you guys. But I definitely want to get this message. Again, just honoring during Black History Month and just every day, just for the work and the life of Mr. Joe Madison. Again, it's like losing a family member to me. So I'm definitely affected by it. We can really, really use him now, but I just lean on all of the knowledge and information that he left us with. I encourage you guys to go and listen to, you go to YouTube and listen to his, shows and conversations or whatnot. But I want to close out with this because, like I said, some of this is in our DNA, y'all, and and the stuff that they're doing is in their DNA. But this is just, what he said, and yeah, it's with a heavy heart. Closing out, I love you guys. Let me just go ahead and give my cheers to everybody who took the time to add to the conversation in the chat. I always appreciate y'all. It means a lot to me because I like to have conversations and not just be talking at y'all. But I'm here to share what I've learned, and I hope that you guys have taken something in and you'll have something to share with others. Thank you. Thank you. I am having a beautiful Saturday. I hope you are too, sis. I love you. But yeah, let me just go ahead and give y'all thanks. And that's a thank you for, always, joining your girl live. You could be anywhere else. And for those of you who watch later, I love and appreciate y'all too. I know Saturdays are a big deal. People got stuff to do. This is just a very free day for me. So this is a perfect day and time for me to be in your ear. And I always want to know what's on your mind, and y'all can tell what's on mine. And that's just a crumb. The wheels stay turning up here. But yeah, I want to leave you guys with this from the late great Mr. Joe Madison. His message about it's in your DNA. Let me just go ahead and play this clip.
Let me read this letter. It's titled, It's in Your DNA. It's in your DNA. Listen. And it begins. So you mean to tell me that someone down your ancestry line survived being chained to other human bodies for several months in the bottom of a disease-infested ship during the Middle Passage? Lost their language, customs, and traditions, picked up the English language as best they could while working free of charge from sunup to sundown as they watched babies sewed out of their arms and women raped by ruthless slave owners. Took names with no last names, no birth certificates, no heritage of any kind, braved the Underground Railroad, survived the Civil War to enter into sharecropping, learned to read and write out of sheer will and determination, faced the burning crosses of the KKK, averted their eyes at the black bodies swinging from ropes hung on trees, fought in world wars as soldiers to return to America's boys, marched in Washington, D.C., hosed in Birmingham, jailed in Wilmington, assassinated in Memphis, segregated in the South, ghettoed in the North, ignored in history books, stereotyped in Hollywood, and in spite of all, someone in your family line endured every error to make sure you would get here, and you receive one rejection, face one obstacle, lose one friend, get overlooked, and you want to quit? How dare you entertain the very thought of quitting? People you will never know survive generation to generation so that you could succeed. Don't you dare let them down. And then I added to this letter to the young people listening to me. You are the products of great expectations. You youngins, you young people out there, you are the products of great expectations. That's what all those ancestors went through. For that reason. And don't you dare run. Don't you dare quit. It's in your DNA. And you need to recognize it.